Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of DxTx. I'm your host Sahan and Safi, and this week we're going to be talking about masks. I'm sure you've heard a lot on the news about masks, whether you should be wearing them, when you should be wearing them, and that's what we're hoping to clarify on this week's episode. Let's get started. When we talk specifically about the use of masks, a lot of people think that wearing a mask is ideal in terms of protecting yourself from getting exposed to the coronavirus. And this is often a big misconception. So when we look at the evidence related to the use of masks, we know that masks in and of themselves are not super helpful in preventing you from getting infection and exposure to particular viruses that are in the community at large. This is because the mask is only covering one area of your body, your mouth. And so if your mouth is covered, there's still other ways of you getting exposure to a potential pathogen. This could be through other exposures through mucous membranes. It could be from you touching something, not washing your hands appropriately, and then touching your face or your mouth when you're not wearing a mask. The easiest way for me to explain the use of masks in the community is to think about you getting sprayed down by a hose. If someone was spraying you with a hose and you wanted to prevent yourself from getting wet, and the only thing that you had was something that was approximately the size of a mask, the best way for you to protect yourself would not be to just wear the mask or use the mask to shield yourself, but it would actually be to cover that tip of the hose with your mask. And so that is the thought process in terms of wearing masks in the community. It's not so much to protect you, but it's more so to protect others from unknowingly getting exposed to the virus. So by wearing a mask, you're actually helping protect others. It shows that you care for others in the community and in your surroundings. The next question is around when should you wear a mask? Should you wear a mask all the time, inside your house, outside, indoor environments? And there's a lot of controversy around these topics, but I think that one thing is pretty clear, is that we know that when you're in closed spaces with poor air circulation, there's a higher probability of us spreading pathogens to one another. And so if you feel like you're going to be in a situation, for example, in a mall, in a grocery store, where you're going to be in tight corridors with others, where there's poor air circulation and poor ventilation, then it's probably best that you wear a mask. And if everybody's wearing a mask, then you're preventing each other from getting exposed to potential pathogens. The next question we often hear is, should I be wearing a mask when I'm asymptomatic? The reality is, most of the cases of this virus are transmitted to people that are close contacts or close family members of those who've been infected. But we have seen some case reports of people who were oftentimes pre-symptomatic, and there's also some discussion around whether or not you can potentially transmit this virus for a couple of days when you're asymptomatic, meaning you don't have many symptoms, or you have very minimal symptoms that you would probably otherwise not think about. As a result of this, I think it's safe to say that if you're going to be going outside where there's adequate air circulation and you know that you're going to be able to maintain your distance from other people who are walking within your vicinity, it's probably okay for you not to wear a mask. But if you have a sense that maybe you're going to be going indoors, or you're not going to be able to adequately distance yourself from others that are going to be around you, then in that situation, I think the best thing would be to err on the side of caution, and if you have a mask, wear a mask. This is also similar to what we're seeing with regards to our public health messaging, and specifically in the city of Toronto, we're now discussing recommendations for people wearing masks whenever they're going indoors. So if you're going to go into a store, if you're going into a grocery store in an area where there's poor circulation, where you may not be able to adequately distance, the city of Toronto is recommending that you guys actually wear masks or some sort of face covering in order to prevent transmission of COVID-19 or other pathogens. This takes us to the next point of, should masks be mandatory? I think that making masks mandatory is oftentimes difficult due to people's differences in socioeconomic status, whether they're able to afford masks, whether they have access to masks. But I think what's important is that they're recommended and people know where we stand in terms of the use of masks. So I am happy to see that the City of Toronto is standing firm in terms of their recommendations. And if you can't find a mask, or if you are unable to afford a mask at this point, anything really will suffice. So if you want to use a bandana or some sort of a cloth to go over your mouth, that is still better and will still help to protect others, at least in some capacity, as opposed to wearing no mask at all. So this wraps it up for this week's episode on masks, when you should wear them, where you should wear them, and I hope that the next time that you go out, if you feel that you're going to be exposed to people and unable to maintain physical distancing at the recommended 6 feet or 2 meters, or you feel like you're in an area where there's poor circulation, you're indoors, for example, in a shopping mall or or in a store, I would highly recommend that you guys wear some sort of face covering. Again, not to protect yourself, but also to help protect others from potential exposure to this virus and to help us mitigate the spread of COVID-19. Thank you so much. Please stay safe. I'll see you next time on DxTx. Take care.